Brought to you by Barton Community College. Explore your future and get started now. Visit gobarton.com.
Okay, Sports Day in 3, 2, 1.
Final shot and done a little bit short, and that's going to do it. 131-122 here in Game 4, and the Thunder able to sweep over the Suns.
One possession game. Bane fires a three. Ham in the corner, no good. Stewart put it in with 3.4. Inbound to Bane. They'll dribble out the clock. Orlando takes a commanding 3-1 series lead over the 1-seed Detroit.
Kerfoot lost his stick and it's deflected in. The long shot deflected home by Cole Smith. And just like that, 3.5 into the second, it's 3-0 Vegas Golden Knights. Here's Gunther, thought about it. One time! And we are tied at threes! Smalls makes the move, hits the errant stick in front of it. Somehow puts that in. Utah's first lead of the game. 4-3 Mammoth. Deflected in. Howden got a piece from Hannafin. And just like that, we are tied again. The Milk able to keep that one aside. But Milk has lost his stick now. Eichel center shot and a score. Shea Theodore scores in overtime for Vegas. And the Golden Knights have evened the series at 2 games apiece heading home.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome into another episode of Sports Day. My name is Brant Daughtry. I'm the host of this program. Landon Winkler is running the video feed and the cameras over in the corner. And today's show is presented by Barton Community College, offering exceptional and affordable learning opportunities supporting student, community, and employee needs. Your sounds of the past 24 hours, NHL and NBA playoffs, they both continue. The Vegas Golden Knights with the win of the evening last night. They got up 3-0 in the early second period. Utah storms all the way back, takes a 4-3 lead late in the game. Vegas scores a late goal to send it to overtime. We're in overtime 4-4. Vegas, with less than a minute left in the first overtime period, they walk it off on the very last minute, and so that series is tied at 2 games apiece. Other games are still going on. 2 series have been decided in the first round. The Carolina Hurricanes did sweep the Ottawa Senators. The Colorado Avalanche swept the Los Angeles Kings. All 6 other first-round matchups are still going on in the Stanley Cup playoffs, and the most exciting playoffs in the world of sports, if you ask hockey fans. In the NBA, only one team has punched their ticket through to the second round so far. In the 1-8 matchup in the West, the Thunder took down the Suns 131-122 last night to secure their series sweep. They are through to the second round. Every other series is still going, and I believe, no other series is going to see a sweep. So a couple of games will happen again tonight. Also last night, the Orlando Magic, this is kind of the big story of the playoffs so far. The 8-seed Orlando Magic are leading the top seed in the East, the Detroit Pistons, 3-1. They won again last night, did the Magic, at home in Orlando. And that series really hasn't been close so far. It's been a really interesting thing to this point. The Rockets were able to stave off elimination over the weekend. They will play Game 5 of that series tonight. Lakers leading it 3-1. Minnesota last night, they were the other game in action. The 2 1-8 games took place, as well as the 3 versus the 6 in the West. The Nuggets were able to stave off elimination, as the Timberwolves are down 2 starters. They are likely going to be 2 starters down for a while. It's going to take a little bit for Dante DiVincenzo and Anthony Edwards to get healthy again. Don't know how long, but the Timberwolves are going to struggle without them. And if the Nuggets are going to make a comeback, keep an eye on that as well. Every other series is currently either at 2 games to 2 or 3-1. And that's your look at the playoffs happening around the country right now. Also happening, the Kansas City Royals are back on the road tonight, taking on the Athletics in Sacramento. Again, the formerly Oakland Athletics, no longer out of Oakland. They're actually playing this game in Sacramento, but in the minor league stadium, the Royals will be on our airwaves tonight. It's a West Coast game, so it's a late start. Game will start, first pitch set for 8:40, I believe. Pre-game starts at 8 p.m. right here on 1590 KVGB and 95.5 FM. Sports Day is brought to you in part by the Marmy Auto Group on 10th Street in Great Bend. Also by Sutherland, serving you a bit better since 1917. From quality lumber, plywood, and OSB to cabinets, plumbing, hardware, and power tools, they have everything you need to get the job done. Visit Sutherland's on 10th Street. Also in part by the Barton Cougar Booster Club, continuing their efforts to make the Barton Community College athletics programs the very best in the country. Pardon me. Don't know why that happened. Let's make sure it doesn't happen again. So on today's show, we were going to have Carson DeBose, head coach of Barton Community College softball. She was not able to make it today. We had to reschedule. We had to push that to later in the week, and that happened just before the show. So we're going to do something I don't like to do, but something that I think this interview is definitely worthy of doing with. We're going to replay an interview for you today. We're going to have on Steve Crosby, a Great Bend native who went on to be an All-American at Fort Hays State, is now going into the Kansas Sports Hall of Fame. Also spent 30-plus years as a player and assistant coach and a scout in the NFL, and he and I had a conversation a couple of weeks ago. We're going to play that for you again later in the show, joined by a longtime guest, Wyatt Thompson, the voice of the K-State Wildcats. He and I kind of recap spring ball for Kansas football. We talk a little bit of basketball with Casey Alexander taking over the program, and we touch on baseball as well. Love talking to Wyatt. Glad I got a chance to do it with him again. It's been about a month, so I figured with spring ball ending, let's bring him back on. But that's coming up on today's episode of Sports Day. Steve Crosby, newest member of the Kansas Sports Hall of Fame, will join us on the other side of this break. This is Sports Day on 1590 KVGB and 95.5 FM. Hey, Cougar fans, this is Brant Daughtry, voice of the Barton Cougars. Cheering from the stands is great, but you can give our athletes a true competitive advantage by joining the Cougar Booster Club. Boosters provide the best equipment and facility upgrades, helping Barton athletes succeed at the regional and national level. Whether you're a business or an individual, your support matters. Call 620-792-9377 and become a Cougar Booster today. Go Cougars!
Community bankers should actually know your community. Hi, I'm Sean Powelson, president of your local Equity Bank. As someone who lives here, I know many of you, and I know what's important to you. I've been in the industry a long time, and I've helped many navigate through financial challenges and lead them to financial opportunities. I believe that people bank with people, so I'd like to invite you to stop by one of our region's 5 locations and meet our friendly, helpful staff. Let us show you our commitment to serving you and our communities. Because at Equity Bank, we're right here beside you. Member FDIC.
Selling your farm or ranch acres can be stressful. At Red Cedar Land Company, they are extremely diverse in the number of ways they can represent you, and they tailor each project to meet their seller's needs. One of the biggest questions for a seller is, what is my land worth? At Red Cedar Land Company, they offer a free market analysis to help you better understand the value of your land. You deserve a better selling experience. Put your trust in Red Cedar Land Company. Call Cody Crook with Red Cedar Land Company at 620-617-7320.
Service from people you know, quality products and professional installation. That's Kern Floor Service. Stop by Kern Floor Service and browse through the different selections of flooring from laminate to vinyl, carpet, wood, and ceramic tile. See their selection of area rugs or special order the one that fits your decor, and don't forget, they can spice up those countertops too. So stop by Kern Floor Service today. Kern Floor Service, 908 Coolidge in Great Bend.
Marmy Auto Group makes it happen. Central and Western Kansas. Check out our selection of new and pre-owned inventory. Marmy's friendly staff offers top quality service that you've gotten to know over the years. When your existing vehicle needs parts or service, our experienced team will get you back in the game this season. Marmy Chevrolet, GMC, Ford and Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep Ram, parts, service, and body shop. Visit Marmy Auto Group on 10th Street or marmys.net. Marmys make it happen.
Sutherland's is your complete home improvement and hardware store. Tens of thousands of products are in stock at everyday low prices. Sutherland's also offers custom buildings, including post-frame barns, garages, and deck packages too. The friendly and knowledgeable staff at Sutherland's, always ready to help you with any project. From hardware, lumber, cabinets, plywood, and OSB, fencing, power tools, furniture, and more. They simply sell for less. Sutherland's, West 10th, Great Bend, helping America build it better since 1917.
Welcome back into Sports Day. Brant Daughtry here with you now, joined by Steve Crosby, a man who has a whole lot of titles. We're going to introduce you, Coach, as the newest member of the Kansas Sports Hall of Fame, but you did a whole lot. And so, Coach, first of all, thanks for taking the time to do this. It's great talking to you today.
Well, I'm more than happy to do it. It's a great honor, and the more I talk about it, the more excited I get about it.
That's good news. So let's keep that excitement going. So for those who don't know, kind of recap where you were. You're a graduate of Pawnee Rock High School back in the day, and so when you talk about your days as a high school football player, start there, and then just go up to where you wound up.
Well, in I was in high school there from 65 to 68, and my senior year I was voted the top player in the state of Kansas in 8-man football, and I ended up going to Kansas State as a freshman and played there as a freshman, and then transferred after that to Fort Hays State University, where I played 3 years there, and I was voted as an All-American, All-Conference, All-District 10, all those type of accolades throughout my career there. And then in 1974, in January, the draft, I was drafted by the New York Giants, the National Football League, and went on to play 3 years there, tore my ACL on my right knee my third year, and it ended up ending my career there as a player. And I went home back to Hays, and I finished my master's degree in the spring of 77, and actually took a job to coach high school football at Scott City, Kansas, where my old football coach in high school in my last 3 years was the guidance counselor there, and he recommended me to the superintendent to come there as a head football coach at Scott City, and so I took that job, and it lasted about 2 months. And I got a call from Don Shula, the Miami Dolphins, and he offered me a job to come be a scout for the Miami Dolphins. This would have been in 77 in June. And so I took that job and ended up scouting 2 years for the Dolphins, and then I went on the coaching staff in Miami in 79. And from there on, I coached, 33 years. 8 of them in Miami, with the Super Bowl of 83 against the Redskins. I was involved with that. And then I went to Atlanta with Dan Henning, who was on our staff in Miami before he went to Washington. And I was there for 8 years, and I was with Marty Schottenheimer in Cleveland for 1 year as his assistant head coach offense. And it's kind of ironic the way this all kind of played. Shula offered me a job as a special teams coach in Miami to stay in Miami because I had offered a job to go to Kansas City as a director of player personnel, and this was in 1979 after the draft, and 78 after the draft, and so I coached special teams there in Miami and linebackers for the time I spent there, I guess the next 4 or 5 years, and went to Atlanta as an offensive coach because I played offense. I was a running back by trade as a player, and spent that time there, and ended up as assistant head coach in Cleveland with Marty. Went back to Atlanta with Dan as a quarterback coach and offensive coordinator, and from there, I think I went 1 year to New England Patriots in 1990, and then I went to back to the Cleveland Browns with Bill Belichick, and I was with Bill's offensive coordinator there from 91 through 95 until they moved the team to Baltimore, and they kind of threw us out in the street. And there was pretty good coaches on that staff. You know, it was Bill and Nick Saban and myself and Scott O'Brien and Kirk Ferentz, who's the head coach at Iowa, and Pat. I don't remember what Pat's last name was now, but he was the head coach at Fresno State, and so we had some really good coaches on the staff there, and they threw us in the street, dumped us to somebody else, and the rest is history with Bill. He went on, you know, to win all those Super Bowls in New England. But from there, I went back to the Philadelphia Eagles with Ray Rhodes, who I played with at the Giants. He was a teammate of mine. And I was in Philly for 2 seasons, and then I went to San Diego with Marty Schottenheimer again, and I was out there for 11 seasons. So it kind of came full circle. And in between there, after the Philadelphia deal, I should have said I was at Vanderbilt for 4 years as the offensive coordinator at Vanderbilt, and that's the only time I really ever spent much time in college football.
And so, Coach, you are a coaching veteran of over 30-plus years, the bulk of that time spent in the NFL, the 2007 NFL Special Teams Coach of the Year. You said you started things as a scout. Most scouts go from being that scouting guy to a front office position, and you said you had the offer from the Chiefs to be the director of player personnel, but you decided that you wanted to be an on-field coach. Was that kind of what you went into the NFL coaching world or the scouting world wanting to do? When you took that job with the Dolphins, did you want to be more of a front office guy, or did coaching on the field appeal more to you?
Well, you know, I really didn't know. I'd never been involved with the personnel or scouting, and a guy named Bobby Beathard, who I worked with in Miami, who's a Hall of Famer, convinced me to work with him and stay on the personnel side. And I did that, like I said, for 2 solid years. And when the opportunity came up to go to Kansas City, you know, in that league, it's all about money. So Shula, Don, couldn't afford to pay me what Kansas City was going to pay me. And he told me, he said, look, I can't pay you up there what they're going to pay in Kansas City, be making more than my coaches here in Miami. And I said, well, I understand that. And he said, but if you'd be interested in coaching, he said, I've been the special teams coach in Miami all the time. I've been the head coach. And he said, I'd be willing to give that up to you so I could pay you more to keep you here. And so, you know, I looked at all that, and I'm thinking, I don't know. And I went to my old coach, Bill Arnsparger, who was the head coach of the Giants when I played there, and really very much, a lot of respect for him. Great man, highly intelligent. I mean, just a great person. And I asked him, I said, Coach, here's the deal. And I said, I need some advice. And he said, well, here's my advice. He said, if you don't mind not getting any credit for what you do, if you don't mind being the best coach maybe that nobody ever heard of, if you don't mind getting a lot of these accolades go above your head and you never see any of them, but you doing the work but not getting the credit, he said, if you don't mind all that, coaching's great. He said, but if you don't, if that bothers you, then don't get in it. And I said to myself, well, you know, I don't really care about all that. I just want to win. So that kind of convinced me to go to the coaching end of it. But, yeah, he was responsible for all that. He was responsible for getting me into football, in the National Football League, by drafting me. He was responsible for keeping me on the team for 3 years. He was responsible for recommending me to Shula for the job as a scout. So Bill Arnsparger had a big part of what I did in my career.
And so you spent a large portion of your career as a special teams coach. When you watch football today in the NFL, the new kickoff rules, is that it? When you see that, how do you feel about those? I know those have been kind of the topic of some debate for some folks.
Well, first of all, the National Football League and the Rules Committee and the competition committee, the people on there, about half of them are not football coaches, they're lawyers. They're lawyers and they're people that are guys that play fantasy football. So a lot of these rule changes were done because of, again, goes back to money. Well, we got too many concussions. We got CTI, all this CTE and all this stuff is going on, and all that, and the collisions from special teams. The full run down the field, and I'm looking at them. Okay, well, how have you made that better? And you look at that kickoff rule; it's actually worse because they're a lot closer and they're not running quite as fast. But you know what? One little miss, you can't block a guy in the open field when he's up right there in your face. One little move here around him, now you got a full run, almost full speed at a ball carrier, and nobody blocking. So where have you improved that at? That's what I'd like to know. Well, I don't think that's. I don't like the way that's going. That rule and the way they're changing the game. It looks more like something that you'd play in junior high football. It's not great football anymore, in my opinion. I mean, I think the lawyers and the agents and the people like that have screwed the game up bad.
Fair enough. All right, so you're going into the Kansas Sports Hall of Fame for what you did at Fort Hays State, and you mentioned that a little bit. You were an All-American there. You were a two-time All-Conference selection, played running back for the Tigers. I believe also, Coach, I saw that there were some moments where you had to fill in at other positions, quarterback and linebacker, I think. So tell us about your 3 years at Fort Hays State and what it means to have those accolades that you did.
Well, I went there from Kansas State, and Tom Stromgren, who was the coach there, excuse me, at Fort Hays at the time, he knew I played quarterback in high school, and he was running this triple option offense, and he needed a runner, basically, a physical runner playing quarterback. And so I went there through the spring and competed at quarterback with 2 or 3 other guys, I don't know. And he called me in his office after spring ball, and he says, you know what? He said, you're probably the best quarterback we have. He said, but this offense will not work if we don't have a good fullback. And he said, that's the key guy to the whole deal. And he said, I would really like to move you to fullback because of your running skills. And I said, well, okay, fine, whatever, coach. And so I went there as a sophomore, my sophomore season as a fullback. And I ran for almost 1,000 yards. I don't know. And you did all the blocking and the run blocking and the pass protection blocking and all that stuff. And that year, we go down to Panhandle State, and our quarterback, Jonathan Douglas, gets hurt in the first quarter. And our second quarterback, the guy who was playing backup, was also playing the secondary. And so Stromgren said, you remember how to play quarterback? And I said, yeah. So I played the rest of the game at quarterback at Panhandle State, and we won like 55-20 or something like that. I don't know. And so I did that. And then also the next year, the following year, we were playing Nebraska Omaha, and our starting middle linebacker was out for the year, or for the game. And so J.D. Armstrong, so they asked me if I could play both ways. So I ended up playing that game. I carried the ball, I think, 32 times in the game, and I played middle linebacker, whenever we didn't have the ball. So it was, yeah. And I had several people tell me, I mean, after the fact, the pro scouts that came through Fort Hays said, I don't know, you might be as good or better defensive player as you are offensively. So he said, but we'll sort that out, and somebody have to figure that out when they get you. So, but I ended up going as a running back, and I'm not sorry I did. But I've often wondered what would have happened if I'd have played, defensive safety or outside linebacker, one of those positions.
Sure. So Coach, you're heading into the Kansas Sports Hall of Fame. Talk about the moment getting that call and realizing that you were going to be honored like this.
Well, I knew I was in the mix of, so to speak, I'd found that out the year before, and they do this voting and stuff like that, and I believe in February. And none of the people that's on the board, anybody that I would have known, has a vote. And I guess the vote is all by the media and also by the former inductees that are involved in the voting. And so I guess it was in late February of this year, I got a call from the voice of the Tigers at Fort Hays, and he had told me, congratulated me on being selected to the Hall of Fame. I went, oh my gosh, you kidding me? He said, no. He said, you were selected, and you're going to be inducted on July 25th in the Star Casino, I believe it is, in Wichita, ceremony. And he said, but you can't say nothing to anybody until this is officially released to the media. And I think they did that probably. I know when they did it about 2 or 3 days after the Final Four basketball. I think that's when they officially came out with it, and it came out in the Wichita paper and the Topeka, and the Fort Hays sent a release out, and the Sports Hall of Fame sent a release out, and I started getting all kind of calls and accolades. I mean, it's a great feeling, and it's kind of crazy because you kind of know you're in the deal a little bit, but you don't know, and until you finally hear those words, hey, you've been inducted, you've been selected to be inducted, you go, oh my God. And it's kind of a different feeling to you. I mean, almost wants to bring tears to your eyes a little bit when you realize that you're actually going to be doing that, and it's quite an honor, and I'm very, very appreciative of all the people that may have had a part in helping me get there.
Well, Coach, again, congratulations on the induction, and thank you today for the time.
Anytime, Brent. Now, are you the official radio guy there in Great Bend?
I am the host of this show. My official title is sports director.
Oh, I got you. Okay. And I still remember back in 1967, we played in the state high school basketball tournament in Dodge City, Kansas. I was a junior. And I remember the radio people from all the way from Great Bend came out to Dodge City to carry that game live at the state high school basketball tournament. I don't remember who the guy was. Was there a guy named Jim Heaton? Was he part of that deal in Great Bend?
Oh, I couldn't speak to that. I took over this role about a year ago, a little less than a year ago.
Oh, okay. Well, I tell you what, I appreciate your phone call, and I really appreciate the people that are involved in all this, and sure glad I could have the opportunity to talk to you.
Absolutely, Coach. Thank you so much for the time.
All right, buddy. You guys take care.
All right, you too, Coach. That is Steve Crosby, the newest member of the Kansas Sports Hall of Fame, joining us here on Sports Day.
Parents, if your student is planning for college this fall, Barton Community College Enrollment Days make the process simple. In one visit, your student can meet with advisors, choose classes, explore financial aid, and get everything set for the semester ahead. Barton's team is here to guide them every step of the way. Sign up for a Barton Enrollment Day and get started today. Go to enroll.bartoncccc.edu.
C&E Doors in Great Bend and Hayes are looking for motivated people to join their team. They're hiring a full-time installer. Experience is a plus. The position offers competitive pay and benefits. They're also looking for an energetic salesperson who enjoys helping customers. Candidates must have a valid driver's license and pass a drug test to be considered. C&E Doors is an equal opportunity employer. Apply today at C&E Doors on Harrison in Great Bend or on Vine in Hayes. C&E Doors, opening the door to your future job.
Needing a healthcare plan for your business? Let the experienced team at Freedom Claims Management Incorporated customize a health insurance plan that fits your needs. Whether you're a large company or a small business on Main Street, FCMI can help you provide employees with great health coverage at an affordable cost. From setup to ongoing support, they handle it all. Schedule your free no-obligation health assessment today at freedomclaimsinc.com. That's Freedom Claims Management Incorporated, with locations in Great Bend, Russell, and Plainville.
It's all here
Get fit with the Great Bend Rec. Join one of their many fitness classes. They have something for everyone's fitness type. Cardio, yoga, tai chi, HIIT, spin classes, and more.
It's all here at Great Bend Rec. Live, play, explore at the Rec.
Service from people you know, quality products and professional installation. That's Kern Floor Service. Stop by Kern Floor Service and browse through the different selections of flooring from laminate to vinyl, carpet, wood, and ceramic tile. See their selection of area rugs or special order the one that fits your decor, and don't forget, they can spice up those countertops too. So stop by Kern Floor Service today. Kern Floor Service, 908 Coolidge in Great Bend.
Community bankers should actually know your community. Hi, I'm Sean Powelson, president of your local Equity Bank. As someone who lives here, I know many of you, and I know what's important to you. I've been in the industry a long time, and I've helped many navigate through financial challenges and lead them to financial opportunities. I believe that people bank with people, so I'd like to invite you to stop by one of our region's 5 locations and meet our friendly, helpful staff. Let us show you our commitment to serving you and our communities. Because at Equity Bank, we're right here beside you. Member FDIC.
Hey Cougar fans, this is Brant Daughtry, voice of the Barton Cougars. Cheering from the stands is great, but you can give our athletes a true competitive advantage by joining the Cougar Booster Club. Boosters provide the best equipment and facility upgrades, helping Barton athletes succeed at the regional and national level. Whether you're a business or an individual, your support matters. Call 620-792-9377 and become a Cougar Booster today. Go Cougars! Welcome back into Sports Day. Brant Daughtry now joined by Wyatt Thompson, the voice of the K-State Wildcats. Wyatt, thank you so much for taking the time, sir. It's been a couple of weeks. How are things in Manhattan today?
Well, it's been good. We had a really, really good weekend away from the baseball series with Kansas. That didn't turn out anywhere near what K-State hoped for, but on Saturday I was a really busy guy. I went from the final football practice of the spring season across the way to the West Stadium Center for the National Leadership Circle event, which is a lot of our high-level donors coming in, and Colin Klein spoke to them, Gene Taylor spoke to them, new basketball coach Casey Alexander did, and then we had a record-setting Power Cat auction on Saturday night at Bramlage, so it was busy, but it was great.
That's kind of where I feel like you and I are, or especially play-by-play guys, specifically this time of year, is there's a lot of going around, shaking hands, and trying to raise money for the programs.
Yeah, it happens, that's for sure. And, you know, we've been so blessed here for a long, long time. I think back to that Saturday night event and so many people that I've made friends with over the course of 24 years. They've been so good to K-State, and I think we raised just over $1.1 million, which was a new record. Again, it's doing that in a time where we're asking donors to do a lot with the NIL stuff, and but they continue to be there, and I'm thrilled for that. They like everybody that follows K-State, they are, pretty darn involved, and I so appreciate it.
Yeah, the Kansas State family is deep, and obviously a lot of connection there, and it's good to see that continue. So, Wyatt, the reason that we're talking today is Kansas State's first spring practice under Colin Klein very recently wrapped up, and I kind of just want to lead things off, I want to give you just kind of an opportunity, broad overview. What did the first practice under Colin Klein look like?
Well, I think there's a lot that goes into it, but I think his message on Saturday when they wrapped up was job well done. When you think about all of the new faces, the transfers, freshmen coming in at semester, all of those kind of things, then you've basically got a new staff and a new group of guys to be where they were when they started and then finished 15 practices later. They did make a lot of headway and improvement, and he was the first to tell them we've got a long ways to go, but it was a terrific start. I think what I would tell you is They really had a good off season in the weight room and got stronger. Then you get to the field, and what he wanted to see every single day was not just to learn the systems, but to give your very best, both mentally and physically. And I only missed one of those practices, really about a practice and a half. The one practice on a Thursday, I saw about half before I had to fly to Greeley last Thursday for an event out there. But they've really practiced very fast, with purpose. I think we saw some leaders emerge, and then a lot of learning. I was really happy to hear Coach talk about even Avery Johnson, who has been around here a long time. You know, Coach mentioned last Wednesday, I guess it was, that he could even see Avery making, some strides in just the last couple of practices, and I think that continued through the end of spring. And you want those types of people that are going to lead your program to be really good, and I think he is one example. There are several others, but overall, I think you'd have to give it a very, very high grade. They did a good job.
You bring up something there that I think is really interesting. A lot of coaches, especially first-year offensive-focused coaches who are blessed with a returning starter at quarterback, they want to hype that guy up as much as possible going into the season. And it felt like Colin Klein was not bashing Avery Johnson, that's not the right word, but kind of pushing him to give more, to be able to do more. Was that your read on the kind of practices that Avery Johnson had going into his final year as a Wildcat?
Yeah, I think that's accurate. Avery, I think, has always been a high-level talent, but he's also been through a lot in terms of change with more than coordinators than the head coach, but now we've had a head coaching change too. Fortunately for him, he already had a relationship with Colin. Now, I would tell you that the offense from a year ago compared to what it'll be this coming fall changed some. Not drastically, but certainly some. But everybody that I talked to, including Avery, said that it was more of the terminology than anything else. And so he's front and center of that, right? So they're asking him to learn basically, a new offense in sort, and all new terminology, and yet also be one of the extreme high-level leaders on the team. That's a lot on your plate, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely.
And I think he handled it really, really pretty well. As I mentioned before, not the only one. I think there were a few guys that I would mention here that I thought really stood out from a leadership perspective. Tanner Morley, offensive lineman, a transfer from Colorado State. You can see that he's going to be impactful. He didn't do a ton in the spring because he is coming off an off-season surgery, but he'll be good to go later this summer. So I would point out those two guys and probably maybe like a Joe Jackson. Joe had a really, really good spring. On the defensive side, because of all of the new faces, it's pretty interesting to look at, those guys. And most of the guys that I would mention here are kind of the newcomer types. Makai Mason, linebacker, Wendell Gregory, a defensive end, Adrian Maddox and Caleb Patterson and Jason Prevard in the secondary. So, yeah, from that perspective, it was a very interesting spring, no doubt.
Another group that Colin Klein mentioned once or twice that I think kind of surprised people to hear this group mentioned as much was the linebacking core. You mentioned a bunch of offensive players there. Talk a little bit about the linebackers, just because that was a group that Colin Klein singled out.
Well, I love what they showed in the springtime. These may not be household names to K-Staters yet, but I think they certainly will be. I think the names that everybody is going to know that took part in the spring were Rex Van Wy and Gabe Powers. The interesting and cool part for me is I believe that both of those guys are better today than they were at any time, at any point last year, or during the time that they've been here. That says a lot. And then you throw in Darian Whitaker, who played, just a little bit last year as a true freshman. He has made a lot of progress. He'll vie for a starting job in the linebacker core. And then you've got those new guys, right? Makai Mason, Jacoby Oliphant. Asa Newsom's not a new name by any stretch of the imagination, but he was also limited in the spring, and he will be a factor. So you start counting up, I mean, that's probably 6 guys. That's pretty good for the linebacking group. And most of the time, I think they'll probably play, in a 2 linebacker set. They'll play some, 4-3, but certainly they're going to use 2 a lot, in my mind.
Something that stands out when you look at the way that this spring went was how physicality seemed to be a really big focus. 12 of the 15 practices that K-State had were in full pads, which is a little unusual. Was that something, obviously, that Colin Klein wanted to drive home? But do you think that it worked?
I definitely think that it worked, and I definitely think it was something that he talked about right at the start of spring. The physicality part, he I remember he said when he was first introduced as K-State's new coach, a lot of people talk about, being tough and play physical football, but we're going to live in physicality land or something to that effect. I think they want to be a very, very tough and physical team, physically minded team. And I think we saw that. And part of that, in his mind at least, you accomplish that with the pads. Right, wrong, or indifferent, I think that's how he felt about it. And again, when you put that on top of, all of the reps that they got with the way they conduct practice, I mean, there were some guys that had to sit out because of off-season surgeries, but that also benefited other guys. Like as an example in the offensive line, there were a lot of times 4 guys out, but it gave excellent opportunity to newcomers like Keaton Jones, the transfer from Missouri, and Delvin Morris from Akron, who could be a starting center. And then Duarte and Jensen and Johnson and Morley and Adams, as I mentioned. So it just goes on and on and on there. And that helped. I really believe the coaches feel that their offensive line was a question mark going in, and it will be in the fall, but they feel pretty good about where they're at and what they've done so far.
You mentioned a minute ago, and this is curiosity for me. In what ways do you think the K-State offense will be different compared to last year? What do you think some of the biggest differences will be?
I think it'll be somewhat subtle, but what I'm most excited to see, not that they didn't do this with Coach Kleiman some, but I think they can play at a multitude of speeds, and formationally they are going to throw a lot at you. It would be, from my perspective, I think, headache causing for opposing defensive coordinators because they can play, 3 and 4 wides, maybe even 5 occasionally, multiple tight end sets, and they've got some really interesting matchup things with the speed of Jay Harris in the backfield and Manning and Williams at the receiver and Brandon White at the receiver position, Lincoln Cure and Garrett Oakley at tight end. So I think they will do a lot of things. They like to call that multiple, right? But they are certainly going to be that. And I'm excited about where they're at, but yet where they could be between now and when the season starts.
All right, so that's Kansas State football as they get ready for the fall season to come around. Another new head coach on the campus in Manhattan is Casey Alexander, taking over the basketball program. And Wyatt, he's been super busy as well. Have not gotten a chance to look at these guys yet, but a lot of new bodies coming in to play on the team this year.
Well, he's really put together everything very, very quickly from my perspective. And I have had the good fortune of meeting the staff. The assistant coaches, I think, is a really good mix of young and experienced. But I think, too, to be done before the 1st of May with the portal and the ads in which they, had to go get, this is a program that's got one player back, one from last year, and that's Andre Kostic. But you look at the fact that they've got some size. They've got 13 guys now. They've got guys that I think fit into the system with the ability to shoot the ball. I really have to say that, one of the late gets that I'm so excited about is point guard Montana Wheeler from Houston. really, really, really solid player who was at Bradley last year. Here's the thing about the kid. He's got elite quickness. Now, he's smaller. He's probably, they'll list him at probably 5'9", but he's probably 5'8". But he has elite quickness, and he can really finish. I know Coach really loves the two freshmen that he's bringing, in Jalen Alexander and Devin Hutcherson. Got a really, really good shooter from Colorado State and the Recksteiner kid. They also have a kid from Virginia Tech, Jaden Shoot. Hey, if you're gonna name like Shoot, you better be a basketball player, right? And he's a pretty good one. I mean, he's a 37% three-point shooter a year ago. So looking forward to seeing these kids when they get in here, probably around the 1st of June, and start preparing for next year. But he's done a really, really good job, and I think people have been impressed with him in terms of just the type of guy he is, what he's been in his past, and his messaging. And I think he really loves it here so far. And he's been in and out of town and going like 1,000 miles an hour, but he's done a really good job.
What do you think is the right level of mixture between, obviously with him coming over from Belmont, he's going to bring some of those players with him. Do you think he's done a good job of mixing the kids from the smaller schools and some of these new faces as well?
I definitely do. And I think what I would tell you is that sticks out to me, and I've said this in other interviews, they have 3 players that will have 1 year of eligibility. They have 3 players that will have 2, a couple of players that have 3, and 3 players that will have 4 years of eligibility. And that was before Pop Njai committed, becoming the 13th guy at the end of last week. And he will be a junior coming up, so he'll have 2 years to play. That, I think, kind of was the plan in terms of putting the roster together, to not just load up with, 1 and 2 year transfer portal guys, but you got the 2 freshmen, and then you've got, 4 kids or 3 kids total with 4 years, and then a couple of more with 3. That's significant from my perspective.
Absolutely. And Wyatt, the last of the big sports that you're a part of, I want to talk a little baseball here. I know that, it's kind of the story of K-State's academic year, athletic year. Baseball came into the season with some pretty high expectations and hasn't quite lived up to that yet.
Well, it's been really kind of an up and down season, to be honest with you. I think K-State got off to a really good start. Here lately, they have not played as well. They have not pitched it like they did earlier, although it's been kind of a somewhat constant issue because they lost those 2 really good arms early. But they've also lost, 3 guys for the season, basically, with injuries, 2 center fielders and a left fielder. that everybody has injuries. I'm not trying to make excuses here, but as you go through the year, the competition's gotten tougher too. They had KU in here this weekend, didn't play well. KU is on a heater right now. They have been playing great, and they took it to K-State. I think they're right there, in terms of the league race to get into the tournament. I think they are kind of at the lower end of being a regional team at this point. So every game left is going to matter. They play at Nebraska tonight. They're at West Virginia this weekend, have a couple of games midweek next week, and then Cincinnati in here the following weekend, and then they go to UCF. So there's still plenty of time, to kind of get where they need to be, but they've got to start producing at a more consistent level than they have in the last, I'll say, 3 weeks or so.
Fair enough. Wyatt, as always, sir, thank you so much for the time. It's been a pleasure.
Absolutely. Great talking to you, sir. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. That is Wyatt Thompson, the voice of the Kansas State Wildcats, joining us here on Sports Day.
Selling your farm or ranch acres can be stressful. At Red Cedar Land Company, they are extremely diverse in the number of ways they can represent you, and they tailor each project to meet their seller's needs. One of the biggest questions for a seller is, what is my land worth? At Red Cedar Land Company, they offer a free market analysis to help you better understand the value of your land. You deserve a better selling experience. Put your trust in Red Cedar Land Company. Call Cody Crook with Red Cedar Land Company at 620-617-7320.
Central and Western Kansas residents, are you looking for a new vehicle? Marmy Auto Group can make it happen. Marmy Auto Group includes Ford, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep and Ram, Chevrolet, and GMC. Marmy Auto Group, your Central and Western Kansas dealer, has new and pre-owned vehicles, or we can special order your vehicle today. If your existing vehicle needs serviced, Marmy's award-winning service department can help. Come to Marmy Auto Group on 10th or marmys.net. Marmys, make it happen.
C&E Doors in Great Bend and Hayes are looking for motivated people to join their team. They're hiring a full-time installer. Experience is a plus. The position offers competitive pay and benefits. They're also looking for an energetic salesperson who enjoys helping customers. Candidates must have a valid driver's license and pass a drug test to be considered. C&E Doors is an equal opportunity employer. Apply today at C&E Doors on Harrison in Great Bend or on Vine in Hayes. C&E Doors, opening the door to your future job.
Sutherland's is your complete home improvement and hardware store. Tens of thousands of products are in stock at everyday low prices. Sutherland's also offers custom buildings, including post-frame barns, garages, and deck packages too. The friendly and knowledgeable staff at Sutherland's, always ready to help you with any project. From hardware, lumber, cabinets, plywood, and OSB, fencing, power tools, furniture, and more. They simply sell for less. Sutherland's, West 10th, Great Bend, helping America build it better since 1917.
Barton Community College, in partnership with Golden Key Group, proudly offers the nation's first associate degree in federal human resources. This online program prepares anyone for remote federal HR careers across the government. Service members and military spouses can use My CAA or GI Bill benefits to take the next step toward a flexible, rewarding career from wherever you are. Learn more at federalhr.bartonccc.edu.
Needing a healthcare plan for your business? Let the experienced team at Freedom Claims Management Incorporated customize a health insurance plan that fits your needs. Whether you're a large company or a small business on Main Street, FCMI can help you provide employees with great health coverage at an affordable cost. From setup to ongoing support, they handle it all. Schedule your free no-obligation health assessment today at freedomclaimsinc.com. That's Freedom Claims Management Incorporated, with locations in Great Bend, Russell, and Plainville.
Get fit with the Great Bend Rec. Join one of their many fitness classes. They have something for everyone's fitness type. Cardio, yoga, tai chi, HIIT, spin classes, and more.
It's all here at Great Bend Rec. Live, play, explore at the Rec.
Welcome back into Sports Day, final segment of the program. Big thanks to Steve Crosby for the interview. I think last week, maybe 2 weeks ago, we did that, but since he joined me again today, he didn't join me again, but we replayed the same conversation. And also Wyatt Thompson. He did join me today, and he is, as always, a joy to talk to and knows everything there is to know about K-State, and I know that that's a big piece of what people like to listen to around here. So always a lot of fun talking to Wyatt. Sports on TV tonight. You've got the entirety of Major League Baseball. Everybody's going to have a game tonight, including the Kansas City Royals. They play the Athletics at 8. That's at coverage starts at 8 p.m. right here on 1590 KVGB and 95.5 FM. NBA playoffs continue. 76ers traveling to play the Celtics. Celtics could eliminate the 76ers with a win here tonight. Hawks traveling to New York to face the Knicks. That series is tied 2 games apiece. And the San Antonio Spurs at home against the Portland Trailblazers. San Antonio with a win could eliminate Portland tonight. So 3 games on tonight. 2 of them are elimination games. The other one is a series tied at 2 games apiece. Like I said, the entirety of Major League Baseball is going to have a go tonight. And 3 playoff games in the NHL. The Boston Bruins travel to Buffalo to play the Sabres. Sabres are up in that series 3-1. Minnesota Wild and Dallas Stars will play each other. That series tied at 2 games apiece. That game is in Dallas starting at 7. And the Anaheim Ducks on the road facing the Edmonton Oilers. Anaheim is the road team in this one. They're the lower seed, but they are up 3-1. They could eliminate Edmonton at home with a win tonight. And so that's what's happening in the world of the NBA and in the world of the Stanley Cup playoffs. Does anybody actually care about this? I have no idea, but I'm going to be watching. So I hope that other people are as well. And like I said, if you like baseball, if you just want to watch baseball, you're going to have your pick of the litter. First pitch at 5:10 tonight. Last game starts at 9. If you just want to watch baseball all afternoon when you get home, you've got an opportunity to do so. And I hope that you enjoy it. I was about to say, I think I've been giving all these times in Eastern time. That is not the case. All of these times are in Central, according to the website that I'm looking at. So everybody in the listening area, the times that I gave are 100% correct. And that is going to do it for today's episode of Sports Day. I want to thank everybody who tuned in, listened in. Big thanks to those that joined me on the show today. Steve Crosby, the newest member of the Kansas Sports Hall of Fame, as well as Wyatt Thompson, was a weekly guest back during football and basketball season. Now we'll check in with him every couple of weeks, and certainly enjoyed speaking to him today. Thanks to Landon Winkler for running the video feed and the cameras, keeping us on the air, doing all the studio engineering things. And like I said earlier, thanks to you for watching and listening. We'll be back again, same time, same place tomorrow. Looking forward to that program. And hopefully it's a good one. We'll see you all tomorrow, folks. This is Sports Day on 1590 KVGB and 95.5 FM.